Rob, thank you for getting everything started here. Good evening, everybody. My name is Aaron Christian. I'm Membership and Unit Service Executive with the Mayflower Council. Obviously, most of you know Rob, who is joining me as well. He is a Membership and Unit Service Executive with the Mayflower Council. We are going to be talking tonight about Scouting's Barriers to Abuse update, the elimination of the 72-hour rule. As Rob mentioned, we are taking questions at the end of this. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you may also note the Q&A section, whether it be in the chat or in that section. If you have questions during the presentation, please place them there, and we will allot time at the end of this to answer any questions that may come up. So the first thing here is, why is the BSA updating the barriers to abuse? Well, the Boy Scouts of America's policies, procedures, and training have evolved and continue to evolve. We learn from the past experiences while also borrowing from best practices developed by leading experts in this field. The safety of the children and volunteers in our programs is the most important priority of the Boy Scouts of America. So let's take a brief look back at some of these evolutions of those barriers. In the 1970s, the Boy Scouts of America developed standards for leadership and screening of adult leaders. In the 1980s, the Boy Scouts of America launched youth protection type trainings. In the 1990s, the Boy Scouts added barriers such as no one-on-one contact and implemented background checks. In the early 2000s, youth protection trainings were updated. Barriers to abuse materials for youth were created, and the Boy Scouts of America added the use of digital device privacy to the barriers. In the 2010s, the Boy Scouts of America updated the barriers to abuse tenting requirement, which was in 2018. The last update in June through October of 2018, as part of the opening of Cub Scouting and Scouts BSA's programs to girls, took place. You may also recall that youth protection training was updated, and everyone in the program was required to retake new versions by October 1st, 2018. Since that time, most of you have likely seen the same training, this new training that is, 3 to 4 times. Finally, the initial rollout of the policy update has caused a series of questions, which are covered in the frequently asked questions page of our barriers to abuse, about what an adult program participant is. And while we realize this is new to some folks, it's been around for a little over a decade in use for venturing, Sea Scouts, and exploring. Its use in Scouts BSA was part of the open window of new recruits in 2019, who were given extensions. Be sure to review, when looking at youth applications, that policy that indicates that 18 plus venturing Sea Scouting participants must fill out an adult application. And in addition, this is part of our bankruptcy agreements approved by the courts, so that we can fulfill our commitment to equitably compensating survivors and preserving the mission of Scouting.
So there are a couple of big changes that are going to be happening effective September 1st, 2023. The first rule that is changing is actually an elimination. It's an elimination of the 72-hour rule. As most of you know right now, any adult leader that spends 72 hours with youth is required to register and take youth protection training and the Massachusetts CORI requirement. While YPT and the CORI requirements are going to remain with our adult registrations, the 72-hour rule is being eliminated, and the following change is taking place. All adults staying overnight in connection with a scouting activity must be currently registered in an adult fee-required position as listed or as an adult program participant. There is a limited exception for Cub Scout overnight programs that we will explain right now.
So that exception for Cub Scout programs is that Cub Scout parents or legal guardians taking part in an overnight Cub Scout program with their own child or legal ward are not required to register as leaders. These adults must also review the How to Protect Your Children from Child Abuse, a parent's guide that can be found in the front of each child Cub Scout handbook. And in addition, the parent or legal guardian must be accompanied by a registered leader at any time they're with a youth member other than their own child or ward. All other overnight adults must be currently registered in a fee-required position. This does not apply, just to emphasize, if that parent is not participating with their child. Their child must be present. Hence the caveat that they must be accompanied by a registered leader anytime they are not with youth other than their own child. This also does not apply to grandparents, uncles, or other family who are not the parent or legal guardians. These individuals would need to be registered to attend an overnight, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later on in the presentation.
So simply put, all 18 plus or adults 18 years of age or older attending a Scouts BSA, venturing, Sea Scout, or exploring overnight event or activity must be currently registered. And 18-year-old and older adults attending a Cub Scout overnight event or activity who are not the parent or legal guardian of a scout in attendance must be registered in an adult fee required position.
So let's discuss what an adult fee required position is. Adults can select from the list of adult leader position options provided in the registration guidebook of the Boy Scouts of America. That is available for their unit, district, or council position. The full list is available on the YAP FAQ webpage, which if you scan the QR code in the right corner, will take you to. So for example, registration as a merit badge counselor, a Lion Cub partner, a Tiger partner does not meet this requirement. So the question really comes down to what's appropriate. And the BSA intentionally did not create a new position for this. We should be using the best positions available, and there's about 70 choices that fall into the category of an adult fee required position. For a unit, this might be something like a committee member or a unit scout or reserve. It could be an assistant scoutmaster, an assistant den leader. For your council level volunteer, perhaps it's a district member at large. There's plenty of options to choose from. In fact, units have 29 options to choose from, and council and district positions have 41 choices. So look at the available positions, and when a adult leader wants to register, or you want to or need to register an adult leader in that position, take a look at the ones that are available and make the best choice for your unit.
So we have some scenarios tonight that we're going to talk a little bit about that will hopefully put this a little more in perspective and provide some answers for some questions. And the first one, a Cub Scout mom wants to camp overnight with her bear Cub Scout at their pack campout. She is not registered with the BSA. Is this okay?
Well, yes, the exception for Cub Scouting allows a parent to attend with their child, even if not registered. As a reminder, the parent does not count as too deep leadership, nor can they supervise the children other than their own. So they are allowed to attend with that exception for their own child only and not to count for any other adult leadership requirement. Rob, an Arrow of Light den is camping with their troop for their scouting adventure pin. Do all adults need to be registered?
So, Aaron, parents who are attending with their Arrow of Light Scout do not have to register and will camp alongside their den. Just remember that the den must still have registered 2 Deep leadership in place for that event. All adults that are camping with the troop must be registered. And as a side note, all Cub Scout rules apply for the Cub Scout group, namely the blue and den camping guidelines that are set forth by National. Scenario number 3. Hey, Aaron, a Scout's BSA parent is one of the drivers for a campout. They do not volunteer for the troop other than for driving. Do they have to register?
Well, Rob, yes. If the parent plans to stay overnight, they must register with the troop in one of the approved positions. If they are driving to the event and not staying overnight, then they do not have to register. It would be an appropriate example of using the unit scout or reserve position. And I also want to remind everybody that an unregistered volunteer only has secondary coverage under the general liability insurance policy plan. We would encourage registration, as all registered leaders have primary coverage, meaning that the liability plan kicks in first before their own insurance, as opposed to secondary coverage where it's the other way around. Rob, if a venturing crew is participating in an overnight at a public location, a submarine, do all adults present have to register?
So every adult staying overnight with the crew must register. Members of the public who may be present and are not part of the crew outing are not required to register. However, we also would like to emphasize that members of the public should not have access to the youth in this case. Aaron, this is one that a lot of people are talking about here. A merit badge counselor wants to attend a troop overnight activity.
You're right, Rob. This has been a big one we've been getting a lot of questions about. And so a merit badge counselor is a council position that would require another multiple registration from the list of approved positions. An adult registered only as a merit badge counselor will not qualify, as that is not a fee paid position. Only adults registered in one of the positions on the approved list of fee required positions may stay overnight. Rob, scouting's barriers to abuse states that all aspects of scouting, the scouting program, are open to observation by parents and leaders. Does this update change that policy?
Actually, Aaron, it doesn't. Parents are still able to attend any program within scouting. However, to observe programs and stay overnight, they must register with the BSA. So we had a couple more of these to go, and moving right along here, the Order of the Arrow is hosting a fellowship weekend. Do OA volunteers have to register with the BSA?
Well, Rob, yes. All adults staying overnight in connection with a scouting activity must be currently registered in an adult fee required position as listed or as an adult program participant. So, Rob, we're getting to our last scenario here. A Cub Scout pack is having their unit camp out. A grandpa wants to bring his grandson to the pack camp out because the Scouts' parents will be out of town. Does grandpa have to register?
You know what? This is another one that's had a lot of discussion, and yeah, the Cub Scout exception is limited to the parent or legal guardian. A grandparent or other family member who is not the legal guardian could attend but must register. As a reminder, the scout and the grandpa cannot share the same tent. And if you need more information or the definition of a legal guardian, there's a URL on the screen you can take a screenshot of, or a QR code over to the right to get some more information.
So what's next? Here are a couple of things, very short, short put. This is effective on September 1st, 2023, as has been on multiple of these slides. We encourage you to inform your units now about this change. Be very clear and upfront about that. We also want to ensure that all of our current units, meaning all of you on this call, are meeting the current policy, and will hopefully encourage adopting this early. Having this in place now saves a lot of headaches getting to September, making sure that everyone's getting registered, and a huge influx of registrations that come in later in the year can be difficult. So please do what you can to get anybody that may participate in a scouting program with you overnight registered now, so that we can keep these programs safe and effective as they've been.
So, Aaron, you brought something up, and I think it's really important for the audience to know, when you look at September 1st of this year from the perspective of us coming back from, in some cases, that's the beginning of the Cub Scout year program, and Joint Scouting Day happens 8 or 9 days later. So we are going to be experiencing a lot of influx of new applications from Joint Scouting Day. So if you can plan ahead for this now, it would keep the process moving a little bit easier. But as always, if you do have any questions, you're welcome to contact Aaron, myself, David Lasarica, or Jack Cole Maria from the Membership and Unit Service Team. Our email addresses are on the screen. And we want to thank once again everybody for attending this evening's presentation.